Welcome, beloved Scorpio. I'm Selena Hart, and I'm grateful to have you here with me today. It's May 12th, 2025, and as we step into this day together, I want to invite you to pause, not to figure everything out, not to push forward, but to take a quiet breath and check in with yourself. If you've been moving through a lot emotionally, feeling stretched, uncertain, or simply tired, today offers you a space to slow down. Things may not be completely clear yet, but something is starting to shift. There's a soft kind of clarity beginning to rise. And in today's message, we'll explore how that shift is unfolding for you. Let's begin. The moon has just moved into Libra, and for you, Scorpio, this shift doesn't necessarily bring ease, but it does bring awareness. Libra is a sign that seeks balance, peace, and mutual understanding. Yet for someone like you who feels deeply and often carries unspoken emotional truths, this kind of balance can feel complicated. You may find yourself caught between two internal drives, one that craves openness and emotional honesty, and another that simply wants quiet, to avoid conflict, to keep the peace, to not have to explain the depth of what you're feeling yet again. This tension may not be loud, but it's real. You might notice it in how you relate to others today. Maybe a part of you wants to bring something up, something you've been holding in, but the moment never feels quite right. Or maybe you sense someone pulling away, and instead of asking why, you choose silence, even though the questions are loud in your mind. It's that push and pull between wanting connection and wanting protection. It's between needing clarity and fearing what it might cost. And this matters because emotional honesty is one of your greatest strengths. But when you've been in a cycle of carrying the emotional weight in your relationships, always being the one to go deeper, to notice more, to hold more, exhaustion can set in. You may start to wonder if it's worth it, if it's easier to just go quiet. And under this Libra moon, that quiet may feel tempting, but silence, if not rooted in peace, can become a wall. And peace, if built on self-denial, doesn't last. That's what today is gently asking you to notice. Where have you been smoothing things over just to keep things stable? Where have you been minimizing your needs to avoid making waves? And what would it feel like to create harmony that includes your truth, not one that requires you to mute it? This isn't about confrontation. It's not about spilling everything you've kept inside all at once. It's about beginning the quiet work of reconnecting with your emotional center, so that when you speak, when you act, it comes from clarity rather than fatigue. Because the truth you carry deserves to be shared in a way that feels safe, not only for others, but for you. And that begins with honoring how you're really feeling today, even if it means sitting in discomfort for a little while longer. In the space that follows, we'll look at how this tension is leading you not toward conflict, but toward balance. Starting first within yourself. You may notice today a deep longing for peace, not just the absence of conflict, but a genuine sense of ease, of emotional steadiness, of quiet where your nervous system can finally breathe. And yet, beneath that desire, there might be a subtle temptation to keep things smooth on the surface by setting aside something real inside you, to go quiet when you actually want to speak, to say it's fine when it isn't, to hold space for others while leaving none for yourself. That's where today's lesson quietly unfolds. Under Libra's influence, there's a pull toward harmony, but sometimes that harmony becomes performative. Sometimes you find yourself making small emotional trades that seem harmless in the moment, avoiding a topic, swallowing a reaction, making yourself smaller so the space between you and someone else stays intact. But when those moments pile up, what you're left with isn't peace. It's distance from yourself. Spirit wants you to know this. Real peace includes you. It includes your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It includes your needs, even when they feel like an inconvenience. And it includes your voice, not just when it's gentle or agreeable, but even when it shakes with vulnerability or trembles with truth. The balance you're craving today can only come when you are included in the equation, not left out of it for the sake of keeping things quiet. This doesn't mean you have to confront everyone or reveal everything you feel, but it does mean you have to start listening inward before you default to pleasing outward. And this matters because the next step of your growth isn't about learning how to keep things stable. You already know how to do that. It's about learning how to let your stability come from within rather than constantly adjusting yourself to keep others comfortable. So before you agree to stay silent or bend again to avoid discomfort, ask yourself gently, am I leaving myself behind in the name of peace? Or am I choosing a peace that truly honors me too? In the space that follows, we'll continue exploring how to anchor in that kind of peace, the kind that doesn't require performance, only presence. Under the softness of the Libra moon, there's another energy stirring quietly beneath the surface, and it comes from Venus in Aries. Where Libra seeks balance and diplomacy, Aries burns with urgency and desire. And as these two archetypes move through your emotional sky, you may feel pulled in two directions at once. One part of you longs to keep the peace, to stay steady, but another part, raw, restless, and honest, wants to move, to speak, to act, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. For you, Scorpio, this stirring may arrive in the form of a sudden longing to reconnect with a person, a memory, or even a part of yourself you've kept at a distance. You might find your mind drifting towards someone from your past or a conversation you never quite finished. Or maybe it's not about anyone else at all. Maybe it's about you, the version of yourself you left behind in the name of survival, the one who once loved openly, who once trusted without question, who once felt safe enough to be soft. This energy from Venus and Aries is bold. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It wants to close gaps, to repair breaks, to speak the words that have been building pressure in your chest. But Spirit is reminding you timing matters. Just because you feel the fire now doesn't mean you have to act on it right away. This isn't about grand gestures or impulsive confessions. Not today. Instead, today is about preparing the inner space, clearing out the emotional debris, sitting with the truth before you rush to share it, asking yourself, what am I really seeking here? Is it connection or is it closure? Is it love or is it reassurance? Because when you move from a place of clarity, the words that come will carry weight. They won't just reach the other person, they'll land. You may feel the pull to initiate something, to reopen a door, to say what's been unsaid, but take this time to ground. Let the feeling rise. Let it speak to you first before you direct it outward. If it's real and it feels like it is, it won't disappear with patience. It will become clearer. In the next space, we'll explore how to hold that fire without letting it burn too fast, how to let it illuminate what needs to be seen without rushing toward action before the moment is ready. Today offers you a quiet but powerful opportunity, the chance to clear emotional clutter, not in a rushed or forceful way, but gently with honesty and care. As the skies above stir both peace and passion within you, Spirit is inviting you to take a closer look at what you're still carrying, not just the obvious emotions, but the ones that have gone unnamed for a while now. The low hum of resentment that sits behind your smile, the guilt that rises when you think about something you wish you'd done differently, the lingering longing for something or someone that still echoes in your chest. You don't need to judge yourself for holding on to these things. You've kept them for a reason. At some point, they served a purpose. They helped you make sense of loss or protected your heart when it wasn't safe to open. But you're not in that place anymore. And now these emotions aren't helping you stay grounded. They're weighing you down. They're taking up space that could be filled with something lighter, something true, something new. This isn't about purging everything at once or trying to become some perfect version of yourself overnight. It's about making room for your breath, your intuition, your real voice to come through without having to push past so much inner noise. You are not clearing space for the sake of looking whole. You are clearing space so you can feel whole, so that the peace you're seeking isn't just surface deep, but rooted inside you. Let today be a quiet turning point, a moment where you stop rehearsing how to keep everything together and instead allow yourself to unravel just a little. Not in chaos, in release, in softness, in truth. Because what's ahead of you The connection, the clarity, the inner stability cannot arrive if you're still full of what no longer fits. Spirit isn't asking you to be ready for everything, just to start letting go of what you already know is no longer meant to stay. Wale. And in the space that opens, even in its quiet emptiness, something sacred begins to take shape. Not because you chased it, but because you made room for it to find you. Ask yourself gently, not from a place of pressure, but from a place of care. What part of me has been quietly asking for rest, but I've been too busy, too distracted, or too responsible to listen? You may have become so accustomed to holding things together for others that you've stopped checking in with what you need. Not rest as in sleep, but rest as in relief. From the expectations, from the tension, from the version of you that's always caring more than you show. And then ask, where in my relationships have I been keeping the peace outwardly while feeling disconnected or dismissed inwardly? There may be places in your life where your silence has been mistaken for contentment, where the appearance of harmony has been prioritized over the truth of your experience. But peace that excludes your truth isn't real peace, it's performance. And over time, that kind of performance starts to cost you more than it protects you. And finally ask, what truth am I ready to admit, even if only to myself? It might be a feeling that's been building for months, a boundary you're afraid to draw, a longing you've tried to suppress. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's desire. Maybe it's simply the honest admission that you're not okay and haven't been for a while. That kind of truth is hard to say out loud, but it doesn't lose its weight just because you don't speak it. It stays and waits until you're ready to feel it fully. Scorpio, your strength has never come from pretending nothing hurts. It has never come from walls or from silence or from being untouchable. Your true power, the kind that transforms not only you, but the world around you, comes from your willingness to be honest, even when the truth trembles in your throat. Even when it threatens to change everything. Because your honesty is not, it is liberation. So today, move slowly, speak softly, even if only to yourself. Trust that in your stillness, something real is shifting. Even when nothing looks different on the outside, transformation is happening within. The moment you name the truth, your healing begins. And the moment you stop betraying your inner world just to keep the outer one comfortable, your power, grounded and deeply yours, returns home. From my heart to yours, Scorpio, I hope this day brings you back to what matters most. Not the roles you've had to play, not the masks you've had to wear, but the quiet, steady truth of who you are when no one is watching. May it remind you that peace isn't something you earn through perfection. It's something you allow when you stop abandoning yourself. Let today be a gentle return to your center. The place where your boundaries are cleared, not because you're hard, but because you're finally soft with yourself. The place where your truth can breathe without being judged, rushed, or reshaped for anyone else's comfort. You don't have to chase clarity. You don't have to force answers. You only need to make space. Space for silence, for reflection, for the slow unfolding of what is already true inside you. Because everything you're seeking, the healing, the direction, the reconnection, it's not somewhere far away. It's just waiting for you to slow down long enough to hear it. And I promise you, it's still there. It always has been. And now, as we gently close this space, I want to thank you, truly, for showing up for yourself, for this moment, for the courage it takes to pause and feel when the world so often tells us to keep going, keep pushing, keep performing. But you didn't. You stopped. You listened. And that alone is powerful. Scorpio, you live deeply. You carry more than most realize. You sense things others ignore. And often you hold back pieces of yourself to keep others comfortable, to avoid conflict, or simply because you've learned it's safer that way. But today wasn't about hiding. Today was about remembering that your truth matters, even when it's complicated. That your peace matters, even if it makes others uncomfortable. That your boundaries are valid, even if no one else understands them. You don't need to be polished to be worthy. You don't need to be understood by everyone to walk with confidence. And you certainly don't need to chase love, healing, or answers. They find you when you make space. They rise up from within you when you stop trying to force everything into neat lines and let it all, the confusion, the longing, the grief, the hope, exist at once. So as you step back into your world, I invite you to do so more slowly, with gentler words, with deeper breath, with the kind of honesty that only you can offer yourself. And if this space felt like something you've been needing, if it helped you feel a little more seen, a little more steady, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Let this be a place where we speak from the heart, not for attention, but for connection. And if you're new here and want to keep walking these soul-centered paths with me, I invite you to subscribe so we can continue meeting in these moments of meaning. Until next time, dear Scorpio, may your path be softened by truth, may your emotions be honored without shame, and may your power come not from how loudly you speak, but from how fully you feel.